Good morning and welcome to the Foster Swift Sports Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dave Russell. I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Charlie Sarche and Tony Delamonte. Today we are joined by Brooklyn Samuel and Ashley Holcomb. Brooklyn Samuel is a MSU basketball student assistant. Last summer she worked with the Lions as a training camp assistant. This summer she'll be working with the Colts football operations intern for the training camp. She's a professional development chair for the Future Leaders in Sports. Welcome, Brooklyn.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited to have you. We were also joined with Ashley Holcomb. She is, or was, the Michigan football head on-campus recruiting and operations intern. She did that until she graduated. She graduated from University of Michigan in 3.5 years. Is that right?
Yes.
It's pretty impressive. And she continued on there after graduation for a bit. Until she took a position with the Colts top 30 football operations intern. And also during your time at Michigan, I believe you were the field hockey team student manager. Is that right?
Yes.
So Charlie and Tony, we have with us here two future, probably a general manager, maybe the Big Ten commissioner. I'm not sure. And, Tony, you're going to be happy because we finally have a Michigan person here.
This is our 6th episode, first Michigan person. So, I'm very happy you're here, Ashley. We can get a little Wolverine blood in here because I'm normally surrounded by Spartans and Michigan State folks. So it's great.
Glad I have an ally in here.
There we go. Absolutely.
So I wanted to start, you're both obviously, your resumes already at a young age are so impressive. I've known both Ashley and Brooklyn since they were little, and so I've had I've watched them grow up and see their successes, and I'm really proud of you both, and it's exciting to see all that you're doing. I kind of think Brooklyn being a coach's daughter, and we'll get into that a little bit, probably shaped what you wanted to do, but was that what drew you into sports? And
yeah, 1,000%. So growing up, being a coach's daughter and coach's kid, you learn very quickly about this business. You learn it is about adaptability. You learn how you have to perform in high pressure situations. So I think with that upbringing, my parents really instilled in me and all the events that I work in now, and the people that I'm around, the professional athletes, the college athletes, the coaches, everyone that I'm around has equipped me from my background to be able to thrive in this position that I'm in today. So my parents always raised me to, you walk into a room and you should be able to talk to anyone, no matter who they are, based on your class, ethnicity, background. You should be able to introduce yourself, talk to anyone. So my parents, and especially as a coach, as a dad, really instilled that in me, just respect on all cylinders with that. So, and then being able to move and go to new schools, you grow when you're most uncomfortable. So I think when I'm placed in situations now with work and work environments, definitely goes back to, who I was as a coach's kid, having to move in high school, having to move when I was in kindergarten, first grade. All of those experiences, just push you to be uncomfortable, and, they force you to grow in those situations. So I'm really thankful for it, and just super blessed for the upbringing that I have had, because it just shaped me into the person I am today.
So Brooklyn, having your dad be a coach, did that kind of help prepare you for watching Tom Izzo and his coaching style?
It sure did. It just makes me, you are there for a reason. And I think as a coach, it's very difficult, and they're the ones facing a lot of criticism, and a lot of things at the end of the day fall back onto the coaches and the coaching staff and the whole program as well. But, a lot of those decisions and certain things are really put on coaches. So whenever I'm in the office, even when I'm around my dad and their staff, just being a simple smile or a simple listening ear can go a really long way. And, just being there for support, being there to always help, doing every task that they give you, every single thing done to efficiency and as quickly as possible. I work a lot on the practice plan, so sometimes we get that 20 minutes before practice starts, you got to do that and type that up really fast. But, it's going to help me in the future in this industry as well. So amazing being a part of that program and with Coach Izzo as well. But yeah, definitely just being there and supportive, just like how I am to my dad, and just trying to be the best daughter as I can be, just being the best supportive staff member as I can be for the coaches I work with as well.
Nice. And we should probably actually say who your dad is.
Yes.
I don't know if we've ever actually said that or not. So
yes.
Coach Terry Samuel, who is a wide receiver coach with the University of Kansas, and he was here at Michigan State for what, 10 years?
Nine seasons.
Nine
yes,
seasons.
we were here.
So, and that's how I know Brooklyn is from their time here, and now she's back here, and it's great to have you. And
Thank you. Yes, it's just the biggest blessing to be back at Michigan State. It's where I grew up. It's home. I bleed green. Anyone who knows me knows how much I bleed green. So to sit, I love, I have appreciation for, the school down the road, but, so I, have total respect for everyone. So I love Michigan State, but completely, I bleed green all the way.
And I think the person to your right probably bleeds blue more than anyone I know. So, Ashley, what drew you to sports?
Honestly, it was just to bond with my dad. My brother played sports growing up, and my dad was always his football coach, his baseball coach. So I was kind of worried about my favorite child status a little bit. So like on weekends, I would just plop down on the couch with him, watch football. And then I actually started to enjoy it and would watch it by myself, and then realized it's something that I definitely want to work in and I'm passionate about. So although it started as a way to connect with my dad, now it's more of a passion for me too.
And so you first were a field hockey manager, is that right?
I was.
At Michigan. So what goes into that? So are you breaking down stats for field hockey? Like, what goes into that?
Well, to be honest, I never played field hockey, never watched field hockey, knew nothing about it. I just needed a job, and I was searching through the job sites at Michigan, and I was like, oh, it's working in sports, like it's a foot in the door. So I had an interview with the assistant coach, and I told him, like, before he even started the call, it's like, I just want to let you know, like, I know nothing about field hockey, but if you give me the chance, like, I'm going to learn it, and I'll do it to the best of my ability. And he was like, alrighty. So the first practice, I came in, I read a bunch about field hockey. He quizzed me, and he's like, okay, you're good to go. So I would do everything from like setting up and taking down practice. I would help our administrative secretary. Like when we were on the road, I traveled with them. So coordinating with the buses and the food. But during the games, I would also code like the games. So like I had to know what was going on. So I had an iPad and I was on the sideline. So they could use all my coding for film. So that was just a great experience. And now I can say I'm a Michigan field hockey fan, and they won the Big Ten last year, so I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, we got a great field hockey team. I went to a couple games, and I was always amazed, because that's a hard ball.
Oh, yeah.
I was always amazed that it wouldn't, it looked like it would hurt a lot.
I've gotten hit a few times during practice, like recording, and it's definitely painful, for sure.
Oh, my God. So then you went from field hockey to Michigan football.
Yes.
It was the same thing, you saw a job posted and you wanted to get over into football. How did that work?
I was in a class, and one of the assignments was to do an informational interview. So the director of on-campus recruiting at the time, Christina DeRuiter, who's now with the Chargers, I just read about her and I thought her job sounded so interesting. And so I just reached out to her just for like a networking, kind of like learn more about her job, ask her questions. And from that call, she was like, we have interns, like I'm going to send you an application, like you can apply. So I applied, had an interview with her, and then from there I started like that spring and helped with OVs, and from there I was hooked.
And OVs are official visits, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys, I think, both dealt with recruiting and visits. What all goes into an official visit in terms of planning, coordinating with the coaches, things like that?
Well, basically, an official visit, you have 3 days to sell not only like your football program and your coaches, but also the school, the area, everything that you can give to a recruit. Like you have 3 days to do it. So from the planning side, it's a lot of scheduling. You got to make sure they're meeting with the right people. So now with NIL, you also have to add in a general manager meeting to kind of talk numbers, but you also have your head coach meeting, coordinator meetings, position meetings. So coordinating with all the coaches on their schedules. But also, at least at Michigan, we were super into professional development and academics. So making sure you're meeting with our academic coordinator, going through meetings to see how we connect you with internships, and a lot of professional development is super important. And then from the other side, like you're showing them tours of the facilities, you're showing them tours of Ann Arbor, you're showing them apartments and dorms. So you're really jam-packing everything into one weekend. but you're also trying to have fun. So, you have like the fun photo shoots that everyone always sees or activities. And we always say if you're hungry at any point during official visit, like we did our job wrong. So we're trying to make sure you're full every step of the way.
Well, and those official visits start right at the door, right? I mean,
Yes.
we have clients, and they're picked up in a nice
An SUV,
vehicle,
yep.
SUV, taken to the airport. It's first class, right?
Yeah. So when I was there, I basically touched everything from the moment that we get your car service to your front door to take you to the airport to the moment that same car service drops you off. So it's a lot of planning travel, making sure like we have like the correct paperwork, because obviously you're going through compliance as well. So that's a whole nother side of it. So it's a very detailed process for sure.
How long does it take to plan those? So if you've got someone coming in, at the end of July, like, are you guys thinking about that months in advance? How does that work?
So I left Michigan right before official visits because they're going on right now, but we had meetings all the way back in August.
Wow.
Like while the team was preparing for the season, we just got done with the previous season OVs. We kind of had July off. And then August, we had meetings like every single day, starting to brainstorm, starting to plan. And as you go throughout the season, you obviously have in-season game day visits as well, but you're planning for it basically the entire year because obviously everything's changing and you're always trying to step it up and stand out. And so I'm very proud of what Michigan's put out this year. I've been following along because I've missed
You're
out
like,
on it.
I planned that.
There's a few things where I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure that was on my vision board that I shared.
Nice.
But they're doing a great job over
So
there.
when you start that position at Michigan, do they give you like the Connor Stallions like outfit that he was wearing against Central? I just want to know. Those glasses were really cool. I had to mention that.
I know.
We're going to cut that out.
No, we're not cutting that.
So I'm just wondering, what advice would you have to recruits that are going on their first official visit? Like, what can they do to make the most of it? What should they be looking out for? Just how can they assure that they have a good experience as well?
Well, I know right now, like obviously with NIL, like the money piece is super important, but I think recruits also need to realize like they're going to be spending 3 to 4 years there. So really take in the entire experience. Make sure you have those good relationships with those coaches. Make sure you actually like the area. During our visits, we have player hosts. So when you are going and hanging out with players, like make sure it's the type of people that you want to be around, because it's not just you picking us as a school, but it's also we're picking you back. So you want to make sure it's a good fit as well.
And Brooklyn, I don't think your role's as much with the recruits coming in, right?
Yes.
Can you kind of describe your role at Michigan State?
Yeah. So my role, my official title is a student assistant with the Michigan State men's basketball. So I do get a lot of questions if it's both basketball programs like women's and men's, but no, I'm strictly just on the men's side in the men's office. So we touch everything Michigan State basketball. So we are covering everything. So my boss, Marina Donatelli, does an amazing job with giving our schedules throughout the semester. So we breaks it up based on our class schedule. So then she fits us in to come into the office a couple times a week for a couple hours each time to work in the office. So a lot of times it does depend on what time of year it is. So when I get back to school in August, it'll be a lot of like, okay, what are we going to do for our football games and our tailgates, like that preps, because that's we host all of our program wide for football tailgates. Then we all go to the football games together as a basketball family. So those are super fun to work, and we work those home Michigan State football games as well. And then we have our coaches' families, coaches' wives, coaches' kids, like everyone is there. So they are super fun, and we do host recruits at those tailgates as well. So super fun. It's introductory to our program, and gets everyone loosened up, ready for the football games, and we all go together. So those are super fun in the fall. And then I feel like the second we hit October, then it's our season. So then our office shifts looked like, we're getting things organized for our games, for Michigan State Madness, and that's, the kickoff to official introductory to our season as well. So, it just depends on the time of year. And then once we get in season, we work our home basketball game. So we are there 2 hours before tip off, right? When the doors open to the Breslin Center, we're there. We're making sure all of our guests are squared away with our ticket section. Those are the tickets we specifically hand out. So it's like former players, other former staff, just other guests, other student athletes sometimes. So, it just depends on the type of game. And so, yeah, by that time, it's November. Our season is underway. Away games start happening. So getting the guys ready, before they head off on the road, making sure everything operational wise is taken care of for the families as well. We work our post game Cleve Center, and that's just where all of our families, they have a wristband to go meet the players after their game. So we just regulate that. A lot of just regulating areas and making sure everything is going smooth, and support our supervisors, support our bosses as much as we can, because we're all running around, running around crazy around the Breslin Center during game days, just trying to make sure everything's squared away. So we have our hands in everything, and it's a ton of exposure just to every situation. Putting out fires on game days, just putting out not actual fires, but putting out, but putting out, someone needs a sideline pass, someone needs this. There's always someone, coming in last minute, giving a tour. Hey, you're going to go just give a tour to someone. They want to see the facilities. So just being there, being a helpful hand, that goes a long way in this industry, is just being there to support and help.
Sounds like you got to be on your toes a lot.
Super, being on your toes, you got to be willing to adjust. And, sometimes we'll have to get things situated in the middle of the game. So, I would like, my supervisors and bosses and coaches not to worry about their guests, worry about their families. That's a part of our job. That's what we're taking care of. So they can, focus on, winning games. So.
Does your job, because I think you were there for an Elite Eight run with the basketball team, right?
Yes.
What is that like? Is there other special prep you guys have to do when you don't know, hey, are we going to make it out of the first weekend or not?
So it's really interesting. I always compare it to how I grew up in football and then working in basketball. So working in basketball, it's totally different. It's 15 guys versus 100 and, or 90, some guys, some players, and then all their families. So basketball is super intimate. So that's what I think I really grown to love working in basketball as well, because it's just, it's super intimate. So, and especially being around a program like Michigan State basketball, the second March hits, we're excited, we're ready, we're waiting on Selection Sunday to see where we're going. So we're really fortunate. I'm really fortunate to be a part of the program that, we are used to being and making those deep runs in the tournament. So it really is adaptability and staying on your toes. We were blessed to be able to go to the first and second round this year over in Cleveland. So it's, personally for us, that we didn't really have to work as much. So it was like, okay, what are we going to pack? But, there's always the possibility we're never going to put that in the air. Like we are going to, go home after the first round or second round or whatever. But, you got to prep. You got to pack and prep like you are going to be there the entire weekend. And then you make it to the second weekend and it's the same mentality. You really take nothing for granted in basketball, because you never know when that run is, going to come to an end. But I think that's really, it helps you enjoy and really appreciate the moment so much in basketball, because you never know when it will end.
And kind of similar to Charlie's question to Ashley, you're around a lot of athletes and high-level athletes. What is it that you see that the successful athletes, and I don't just mean on the court, I mean off the court, and maximizing their value? What do you see those athletes doing?
Well, I think especially just working and seeing how Coach Izzo runs this program and why he is so successful and why everyone who comes into that program is so successful is because you really trust and you kind of do it works. And then also the alumni play a huge role in our program. It is alumni, we always welcome back alumni, but that is not just for the players. That is open door policy to former managers, former student assistants, former coaches. Everyone is welcome back at every time and just welcomed and embraced no matter when you were here. I meet so many. It's so cool to be a part of this whole family and this legacy now. It's I meet former managers all the time from, back when we went to the Final Four in 2015, and the student assistants, that won Big Ten championships as well. So it's really cool to be in part of that great family and embraced in that. And same for, the players as well. A lot of it goes back to, when we won the national championship back in 2000. So, those players are still around. They still come in, talking to our guys all the time, mentoring our guys. So I think the people that were, that did it before you, the people that paved the way for you from the beginning. So you really utilize and understand their perspective because they've done it before. So I think that goes program wide, and from the past student assistants, past managers, everyone as well. It takes the program. So when you utilize the program and how blessed you are to be in a certain program like Michigan State, you don't take it for granted at all.
Yeah. And we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but role models that each of you have. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So my personal role model is the first few people that come to mind are definitely Roya Burton. And Roya Burton is the scouting coordinator at the Denver Broncos. So I have been fortunate to know Roya since I was 9 years old. And just the way she has always carried herself as a young woman through college, a young professional, and now her role with the Broncos has just been so cool to watch her. And I've always looked up to her when I was 9, and now I'm 21, and I still look up to her the same. So just seeing her similar background as a coach's kid, and then how she utilizes that background and the things you do go through as a coach's daughter into this industry, and using those mentalities that we've been instilled in us since day one. So just seeing how she carries herself, the way she conducts herself as a beautiful young woman. She is just always going to be a role model for me and great mentor that I can always call. And then also I do have to mention Elliot Daniels, and he is a senior associate athletic director with Michigan State, and also the sports business management minor director at Michigan State. So he is a great mentor of mine. I will email him and be like, I need to just chat with you, just where I'm going to go. I'm a little lost with what to do, or, just really placing it with his words and everything that he tells me. He's a great man of faith as well, so helping me navigate this tough industry and also relating it back to Scripture, back to the Word of God. So I think that is really amazing, and combining those two, because that's just the way. He's the way, the truth, the light in life. So I think relating and how you are through him, and then practicing that through the sports industry as well. Him helping me and navigating that as well has been amazing in sports and my faith as well.
That's great.
Cool.
For sure, one of the biggest blessings that came from the Colts internship so far was gaining a mentor in my boss, Mulaney. She's the director of football operations at the Colts, and she truly is just like a wealth of knowledge for me. Like, I'm just a sponge anytime I'm with her. I've been there for like about 3 months, but she's just so willing to teach me, which I really wanted throughout this internship. Every day I'd probably go into her office and ask her like the smallest question, or for her to sit down with me and go through a hotel contract and be like, what are you looking for when you send comments back? Like, why did you think about this? What number are you trying to get to? And she started in my position as a top 30 intern and then moved her way up very quickly into her role. She's super young, especially for the position, and I'm just very blessed to be around her every day. Same with the assistant Connor. They just truly are there to help me and let me develop. So definitely those two for sure.
So Ashley, you've gone through it, and Brooklyn, you will here in a couple weeks as well. But just adjusting from college sports to professional sports, how was that?
Is there a difference anymore?
Yeah.
Not really.
Honestly, in the most ironic and weird way, going from specifically college recruiting to the NFL is it took the biggest stressor of work off, because in college they choose you, but in the pros you choose them. Yeah. So it's not like it changes my work ethic or my effort when I'm surrounded by a player. But in college you have to be so detail oriented with everything that you say or do, because one little thing could turn that recruit off from a school, whether you miscapitalize a letter in their name on their credential, or for some reason you don't talk about a specific family member and you might mention something about mom sending pictures to put in our picture wall. Those small things really can make a big difference when you're recruiting. So when I'm around these players, specifically when I started for top 30, when the draft prospects would come in and I would talk to them, it just kind of took a weight off my shoulders. And so that
So
was
you were
just
more
kind of
focused
funny.
on your job rather
Yeah,
than
I
like
was-
worrying about one little thing. The recruit would be like, nope, not Michigan.
For sure,
Yeah.
because before a recruit comes in, like we would have meetings and go over every single recruit and be like, here are the talking points for this recruit. Here are things to stray away from. So some game days we'd have 70 kids come in, and you really have to make sure like you know your stuff. Like you need to study the face sheet, because some kids, if you don't know their name and you ask them, like when they come up to the table to get a credential, like, oh, what's your name? They're gonna be like, oh, am I not like big enough?
Right.
Like, I guess you guys really don't want me if you don't know my name. So, and obviously like in the pros, like I'm making sure I know everyone's name. I think it's just instilled in me from doing college recruiting, but the biggest stressor is kind of off my shoulders now. So I've kind of learned to be more relaxed and like actually enjoy my job instead of being like kind of like all wound up a little bit.
So can you explain what operations is on a football team? So, you know, I feel like a lot goes on behind the scenes to make it happen so that the players, you know, you see in the news that the players are reporting for training camp.
Yep.
But I feel like the common people don't understand what goes into, the players are reporting for training camp. And you mentioned, you know, before we hopped on here that you guys are getting ready for the Colts camp.
Yep.
What all goes into that?
So it's just very small details that make a huge project. You're making sure, well, specifically for training camp, you not only have to move our entire facility 45 minutes north, and that's like the weight rooms, all the video equipment, coordinating how we're getting all of our food and hydration products over there, but you also need to get the players there. So I'm helping coordinate getting all the player travel to Grand Park. And during season, you not only have to worry about team travel, but you also have to worry about hotels and buses and getting from city to city. So that has been one of my big tasks in the beginning, was researching hotels for my boss to look into for away games. Same with bus companies, same with trucking companies. But also in the NFL, like rosters are changing every day. So I'm not only in charge of our current player travel, but anytime we cut a player or want a tryout player, I'm the one connecting with the player, connecting with the agent, getting them to and from Indianapolis, which is a big responsibility because I'm not going to let them miss the tryout. I'm not going to have that be on my shoulders.
And we were talking as well that one of your biggest stressors has been manning the aux cord, picking up the rookies every morning.
Yes. So while the rookies have been there for rookie mini camp, then also through our whole off-season training, I was at the same hotel with them, so I had to take them to the facility every day. So I'm just pulling up in my 15-passenger van every morning, and I just don't know what to play. Like, I don't like to play music for other people, like, regardless. But when you have a bunch of NFL guys coming into your van at 6:30 in the morning, like, that was probably the most stressful part of my job so far, was trying to figure out what music to play. And at some points, I just like handed whoever sat in the front seat my phone and was like, "Here, take it." Like, I don't want to do it anymore.
You got a couple rookies at 6 in the morning who aren't awake, and all that's playing is your music.
Yeah, the 6 in the morning shuttle to get to the facility is pretty quiet, but on the way home, we have fun, and I got to get to know them, which has been super cool.
That's cool.
So in Brooklyn, your role at Lions training camp.
Yes.
Walk us through that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're Lions guys.
Yeah.
Big Lions fans.
Yeah, totally. So that was a really cool experience, and just the whole interview and how I found out about the internship. I guess I'll start there. It was through my sports business management club, VICE, Future Leaders in Sports and Entertainment. So every student that asks me like how to get into sports, I always recommend joining our club, because it is just so great the way we connect other people to experiences, internships on campus or off campus. So I found out about that opportunity through our former president. She did that internship as well. So I was like, once I found out about, and Elliot told me about, one of my mentors, he told me about a training camp. You should look into doing a training camp internship. So I was like, okay, the second I heard about that, and so the second I heard about the Lions one, I knew that's the one I wanted. So whatever I had to do to connect with people and, network to get to that position to where they are looking at me for a finalist or looking at me for that internship, I was going to do that. So talked to the girl that connected me with them, and then was connected in there, and then went through the formal interview process, and then and then was really excited last year to get that internship. So basically, it was through the marketing department, and it was just strictly training camp. So similar to what I will be doing with the Colts. So it'll be about 6 weeks, 7 weeks at the time. So same thing at the Lions. So got in there. The second I walked into Forward Field, I was like, I just love this professionalism. I love, the professional football. Like, I loved it. So to say I worked with an NFL team was just really cool, especially the Lions. Like, come on now. Like, it was really, really neat to be around for training camp. So kind of the similar thing that goes into what Ashley was saying with the Colts. You have to pack up everything. You have to get everything they housed a lot of things that they use, like fan activation wise and just signage pieces out at Ford Field. So we had to transfer that all the way out to Allen Park. So the people and my supervisors and the other interns there as well, we just had such a great team and just grew very close to each other. So it was very, very easy to adapt to a new, team, because that is very important with the people you work with. And you spend a lot of time with people. You're up early. I think I woke up each day around like 4 a.m. and then was up there at 5. So, you're doing long days, early mornings, long nights with these people. So it just was really great. I learned so much. And it was really fortunate that a lot of my supervisors were Spartan alum too, and then someone was in Future Leaders in Sports and Entertainment Club as well. So connected with her, and she was in my similar shoes as well. So she kind of helped me through all things Lions and getting adapted from Michigan State to the Lions. It went by so quick, which is really sad, but and I absolutely love the organization. But from the top down, it was really cool to see how, Coach Campbell and how everyone, it's a whole organization. It's the business side and it's the team side together working to get training camp done and off to a great start for the season. So really neat opportunity.
Was that while they were filming Hard Knocks as well?
No, that was not while they were filming Hard Knocks, but it was when Amon-Ra St. Brown was featured on Receiver on Netflix.
Yeah, that's right. Nice.
You both do such a good job networking. I can tell you, like with your sports group, and and I think you've seen it with your dad over the years. When it's kind of sad maybe when a coach leaves or whatever, but when that happens, that kind of opens up that network. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
And you have your network at Michigan, and now you're with the Colts, and that branches out. What advice would you give to others that are they want to come up and they want to get into operations or front office type work? You both talk about and you work very hard, and you do anything. It's not like you're doing just glamorous jobs. You're working hard. You're working with tickets or whatever. So can you just talk about each of you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I can go first. I think the biggest thing I've learned and has been instilled for me is that you're not bigger than any task. You can, if there's a piece of trash on the sidewalk, someone's eventually going to see that. So pick it up. Pick up the trash. Make sure the fridges are restocked with Gatorade for guys or guests coming in, before you leave. Just doing those little things, because once you're able to do those little things, people will see that and people will recognize that, and people will be able to trust you and have you handle more. So I think knowing that you always have eyes on you, it is always the interview process as well. So go in there like it is your first day. Do not get comfortable, because, you will get overlooked for certain things as well. So always, like we talked about earlier, is being on your toes and adaptable as well. Also with the networking piece, I always talk about one of the best pieces of advice I was given is to just ask people, reach out, just ask to connect for, hey, can I get 30 minutes of your time? I'm really interested in what you do with the Jaguars. I'm really interested in what you do with the Spurs. Can I just get 30 minutes of your time to connect? And then also being specific with those professionals as well. Everyone's super busy. Everyone's got a lot going on. But when you throw specifics, when you're like, are you available from 10 a.m. to noon on this day, on next Wednesday? Or are you available at this time after 6 p.m.? Giving those specifics so someone can just easily go in and say yes or no. Yes, I am available. No, I'm not. Let's try this day. How about this day? That really helps a lot, just to be able to pinpoint the exact date, exact time, and when you would like to connect. And then come ready with questions. People, I feel like, love connecting and want to help other people, I found a lot of people want to help you, especially students and especially people in undergrad navigating this industry. It's not an easy industry to get into. So therefore, you got to network, you have to do your part, but also be willing to take criticism, take correction, and applying that to whatever you're going to do next in every single job as well. So I see that those are my little bits of advice. With networking.
And one thing we were talking about before, you never really know who you're going to run into when you actually, will you tell the story about when you were interviewing or start to interview with the Colts and you run into Ashley?
Yeah, so Ashley and I, it's so crazy. So we have been on volleyball teams, so many like family events all together. So spring breaks together. So it was really cool when I connected with Connor, who's the football operations assistant with the Colts. I connected with him through a mutual connection of another coach's kid that I knew who was in Ashley's role as well. So connected with Connor and was, texting back and forth with him about this internship. And then, he was like, okay, we're just hiring our top 30 interns, then we'll get to our training camp interns as well. And then I saw on LinkedIn that Ashley posted her, that she's going with the Colts for the top 30 intern. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so she's going to be the seasonal intern who, if I were to get the internship with the Colts, I would be working directly with Ashley. So that was such a cool full circle moment when I realized Ashley was going to be on the operations team at the Colts as well. That just motivated me even more to have a good interview with the Colts because I'm like, I really want to work with Ashley and be with Ashley again. So that was a really cool moment. Always, it does teach you, and it can be a testimony to other people is, bridges, relationships are very, very important in this industry. People talk, people will call up references, and people will put in good words for you when you do a good job. So utilize that, be aware of that as well. I think that's very important to, just work hard, head down and grind. So I think that's very important with this industry.
What I'm hearing is Ashley might be your boss.
What'd you say?
I said
we'll be working together.
Yes, we'll be working together. But yeah, no, she is, the seasonal intern. She is the boss. So yeah,
She was on the interview, right?
I was on the interview, and I was really pulling for Brooklyn. And then, so because I've had such a great experience at the Colts, so I really wanted Brooklyn to have the same experience. And now we're going to be roommates for 6 weeks up in Grand Park. So we're about to have a lot of fun. But in terms of your question, I would pretty much echo exactly what Brooklyn said. A lot of people say that they want to work in sports, but you actually have to do the work. You have to do the less glamorous jobs. There's some days when I was at Michigan, I was working close to 20-hour days, and then you have to get up and do it all over again. So you really just have to be passionate about it. Make sure this is what you want to do because you're going to have to work hard to get it. And then in terms of networking, like Brooklyn said, people want to help you, but you can't go into these networking calls being oh, if I talk to them, they're going to get me a job. You can't go in that way. You have to do your research. You have to ask specific questions. And when I do these informational interview, networking calls, I'm not thinking about what they could give me in terms of a material job. I just want to get advice, see how their thought process works because that's the knowledge that's going to get me farther in this industry than that going in thinking that they're going to get me a job.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, because I've had that happen a couple times where you set up the call and people are busy, and then people don't ask questions, and you're like, well, I'm taking time out of my day.
Yeah,
I think the advice is be prepared, have the questions ready, to make it show your interest in talking to that person.
And I think another big thing with that is making sure you follow up, thank them for their time because they did take time out of their day or their busy schedule. You don't know what they had to go through or what they dealt with throughout the day to, to get on the phone or take time out of their day to, talk on the phone with you. So I think just being grateful and just having gratitude and appreciation for every single thing that people do for you. And, that will carry you a long way when you have a positive and humble attitude about things as well. And yeah, you're not bigger than any job. You're not bigger than any single task that you're given. So I think that's a big part to take in, with people's time as well, with dealing with and talking with other professionals as well, their time.
So last week we had Natalie Kerwin from the Pistons on, and one of the things that we asked about was, breaking into kind of a male-dominant field, and she talked about the need to always be prepared and actually felt like she always had to be over prepared or more prepared than anyone else because she was a woman. What experiences do you have with that?
I would definitely agree with what she said. Although I've been super lucky to have all female bosses when I've worked in football, both at Michigan and also at the Colts. But I think there still is opportunity for women to continue to get into this field. And I think you just have to be over prepared because you're often looked at and they're like, oh, you don't know football, you don't know sports, you don't know this industry. So when you can just show up and have your actions speak louder than your words, because obviously anyone can say something good on an interview. It's more about how you show it. So I think just being prepared with your work ethic, how you go about things, being professional, all the behavioral aspects of a job, I think that's really how you prove yourself. And I also think that's how women are starting to pave the way in this industry.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Just basically the same thing as what Ashley said. I've been very blessed and fortunate in all my roles and positions to have great experience, to have great other women, to have great men around me that embrace me and, welcome me in with open arms. So, but I know that's not the same experience for everyone. So learning from people's negative experiences, I can help and, pave and, remember how they dealt with those situations. So if I'm ever faced with adversity or things like that, because I am a woman and women of color, I can apply what other people went through into my own journey as well. So learning and hearing other people's perspectives, I think, is key, and always being a listening ear. We had a question one time during our boss conference, and it was a young man who asked, and he just was asking one of our female speakers, and he was like, what can I do to help the women break through in this industry? And I think that spoke really big volume to, the other men. So I think just knowing that they have a voice and, they can speak up for other women as well, and empowering them too. I think that's a huge, big aspect. But I think also for women as well, you got to be versatile, being overly prepared, asking questions in other departments. You may be in operations, but what does the business side got to do to help the operation? So what can I do to ask the business side, the marketing, the fan engagement side to make operations go smoother, asking other questions, being a versatile, well-rounded, well-spoken. I think, you do have more eyes on you, especially in if you mess up or if you do certain things. So knowing that mistakes are okay. But just, getting back up on your feet and, doing whatever you can to better those, and also just taking notes and learning from other people, learning from other people's successes, learning from other people's mistakes, and, just keeping those notes and things on what worked well and what didn't.
So what's the future goals for both of you?
I mean, I would love to stay in the NFL. I've truly loved working for the Colts so far. So hopefully continue working for them and then eventually continue working my way up to a DFO role. But I know it's going to take time to get there and a lot of hard work. And I'm honestly just ready for all of the challenges ahead and just continue learning and growing, not only as a professional, but as a person as well.
The DFO's director of football.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
director of football operations. I need to start saying the title.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay. I think similar for me as well. I've grown to love with Michigan State. We do a lot with our player families and, player engagement, player development side. So I know there's positions like there's player family relations, there's player engagement, player development. I've learned to love that side of it, helping their families, helping their guests with games and all the things that they need off the field. So I've grown to really fun, and really seem to take a liking to those roles. So I think that would be really cool for at the NFL level or NBA level. I still really love basketball, really love working in it. So I'm not sure which sport I might go down, which path, but I definitely know I love the professional level, but I do love the collegiate level as well. So we will see what the future has in store for me, but I definitely could see myself player family relations, director of operations as well, player personnel. So we will see. I think Ashley and I both will look back on this podcast and be like, oh, that is the complete opposite where we went. Or, we're still in sports, but it's this role. Or so I think sports are ever changing. There's roles being created all the time. So we will see, but it's exciting to think about for sure.
Maybe you'll end up at Michigan.
There we go.
I don't think
Come on,
so.
Brooklyn. I think so.
I can't wear those colors. I grew up like, even if those colors were like, there are markers next to each other, I couldn't put those two colors together. In elementary, like, I'm so sorry. I don't think that I can't do it.
I think you need to start sending your job openings.
Maybe
over
I will,
there.
because when I was at Michigan, like we could not wear red or green in the building. Like you would be sent home. So
Nice.
Yeah, I never wore blue in our office as
Yeah,
well.
I was on a official visit with Abby to Ohio State for lacrosse, and I was just wearing like a blue shirt, like, and
That's the best you can do.
They're,
You
they're
gotta
like
change.
They're like crazy down there. I'm not kidding you. Like,
did they give you a shirt?
well, I wasn't going to change my shirt, but all the M's are crossed out
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean, it was a bit much, honestly. But
When recruits come,
Yeah.
if you should, well, one, you should know not to wear red. But if you come in, like I've handed out shirts to parents, like I will
they're wearing
myself,
red?
they'll come, like it'll be like someone's grandpa, and he'll come in like the sweetest, nicest guy. But I'm like, one, the
change.
players are going to say something to you, so might as well me go to the equipment and be like, hey, I'm going to give you a shirt. We're going to need it back after, but like I'm going to give you this shirt, but you can't wear that red shirt in here.
That's hilarious. Do they always change or?
Yeah, because we had a recruit one time wear his like Letterman's jacket and it was red, and he was in the weight room watching a lift, and our running back at the time, Donovan Edwards, came over to him and was like, take it off. He was like, go put it outside. Like, you cannot wear that in here. And
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
it's serious.
It's serious, man.
so what's the future of college sports going to look like without this revenue sharing? What do you think?
I think it's just going to go to the professional level, just kind of replicate that model, which is sad because I think NIL, while I do agree that players should get paid because they are the ones bringing eyes to the sport, I think it's super sad what it's doing to like the smaller level sports in schools. But I think it's going to go more to the pro level, and you're going to have to recruit your current players as much as you are like transfer portal players or high school players.
Well, and you kind of talked about that a little bit now, Michigan switching to having a general manager.
Yep.
And that kind of, I think we talked about that prior to we started recording or whatever, that changed the look of the office anyway, right?
Yeah, so it used to just kind of be like your head coach and your position coaches are recruiting these kids, but now you have like a whole player personnel department. Recruiting departments are getting bigger. The NIL meetings with the general managers are becoming more of a focal point in every single recruiting visit. Like it used to be like they come and you show them the entire experience, but now especially our transfer portal guys are like, I want to come in for one day. I want to meet with the head coach, the position coach, and the general manager. Like I don't want any of the extra stuff because honestly, like that's not at the top of their list of why they're picking the school. And so it's kind of taking the relationship part out of college sports, which I find super sad, but it's definitely reflecting more of the pro model for sure.
And the one thing I wanted to ask you about Brooklyn, so Bubba is my son. He follows your TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. So he tells me you have a
Yes.
really good TikTok.
Oh, thank
I
you,
love your
Bubba.
TikToks.
Thank you. I try my best. I've just found a love for just editing and, playing around with the different edits you could do. But yeah, I try to, a lot of people have came up to me before I kind of started this. They're like, I would tell them like how many states I've lived in. I work for Michigan State basketball. I'm also a coach's daughter. So I go to the games, the outfits, the get ready with me's, the outfit inspo. A lot of people I found that does really well on TikTok, so people have came to me and they're like, oh, well, like, that'd be cool if you did it, or like that you have an interesting life. You're like, and I'm like, okay, like why don't I just start making TikToks? So I've had a couple do pretty well. I think I made one. My dad is very passionate, or definitely very passionate. Cooking. He's a very good cook. I think.
You know this.
I think Dave can speak to that as well. He's a very good cook. Yes. So last summer he cooked for his players, and they came over. So I was like, I feel like this would be interesting. So got a couple clips of them eating, got a couple clips of my dad cooking on the grill, and his food it's always amazing. It's making me hungry just thinking about it. But,
Have you had any players reach out to you, be like, hey, like, can you help me make a TikTok?
No, I haven't, but there have been people in my comments been like, "Oh, your dad recruited me back in 2015," or like, "Hey," or like I have had a DM or be like, "Hey, do you mind sending your dad my film?" And I'm like, "No, I will not do that." So I had those. So I don't even share that with my dad. I'm like, he doesn't even need to be bothered with that. But yeah, so I do just so that TikTok ended up, I think it's at I want to say 1.2 million views.
wow.
That one of
Nice.
my, and then a lot of other sites on Instagram reached out. I think it was like Bleacher Report reached out. They're like, hey, can I post this? So then it did some numbers on, those Instagram sites as well. And then they gave me the credit. So in the comments. So TikTok is really a cool avenue. And I always I think I was telling Abby too, to just get on there and just start posting. I know you're in high school. I know can be embarrassing. I know how it is. But once you get over what people think, posting is so much fun. You find it just to be fun, just to pretend like you're a famous influencer doing things, and it's super fun. And then when you're a student athlete, you can maximize that value. You can grow your popularity. You look at other women like, the Cavender twins that were at Miami, Livy Dunn at LSU, they maximize, social media, Instagram through, okay, I did a gear haul, I got all these new Leos, or whatever the sort. So people find that so interesting. So when you're able to market yourself and just put a little time into the editing, like, you don't know how well it can do on TikTok, and that brings popularity to your value. I know I'm not a student athlete or anything, but I really do enjoy the TikTok aspect and, sharing that and exposing people that, hey, you can work in sports. This is kind of what it looks like. I don't try to share too much just because the privacy and respect to the teams and players I do work with. I don't want to ever invade their privacy in their safe space and the facilities and everything. So very, very strategic on what I do post. But other than that, I like to post a lot about being a coach's kid and the outfits. And I'm very big. I love fashion. I love picking out outfits, makeup, all of that. So it's very fun and it appeals to the girl audience as well. And then the sports is, the male perspective. So, it's a really cool tool to utilize and to maximize, and market yourself on it.
Maybe
Yeah,
you can,
it sounds like you do a great job branding
you.
yourself. With Abby, talking about my daughter Abby, and I've said, look what Brooklyn does, but everything's cringe. So
I know, and I understand. If I
She
was
has a
her
hat
age-
code now. I saw that yesterday.
She does. She does have a
Wow.
out of California, and it was really painful for her just to post anything.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We've been trying to get Charlie to do TikToks
Yeah.
for the
this
podcast.
podcast, but
you should.
I
Yeah,
might need your help.
Yeah, I would
coach him
totally
up.
be
Yeah.
willing to help. It's super easy once you do it once, and once you just start posting, you really just forget what people think. I think when I was Abby's age, I did not even think about it. I would not even want to do that or whatever. But I think, once you realize how much opportunity is in social media, it makes other people's opinions just go down. You really just stop caring about what people think and what people will say.
Maybe you could double as the team's TikTok coach, the MSU
Oh.
players this year.
Yeah, I think they do a pretty good job on their own.
They do a really
Yeah.
good job. I know, Cohen Carr.
Cohen
oh,
has
wow.
over 200, 200, so many followers on his TikTok as well. And, so they do well on their own. He posts, a video of him dunking. He gets, millions of views. So he's doing all right. And they're doing really good on their TikTok as well.
Well, thank you both for coming on. I've really, really enjoyed this, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds for both of you. I know you're going to be both very successful, and Tony, Charlie, and I are going to say one day, well, yeah, they were on our podcast.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes,
it was a lot
thank
of
you
fun.
so
Thanks a lot,
much. I
guys.
really appreciate all
Thank you.
of you
Hopefully
guys.
you'll come
Thank
back,
you.
maybe in a year or two, and we can find out what's going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll bring
Give
you
you
back
an
on.
update.
Okay,
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.